still waking up. Hey everybody, happy November 3rd. It's Tuesday morning. Hope you guys had a good Monday. And it's Top 10 Tuesday again, but we'll get to that segment really soon. First, just going over yesterday. It was a good day. Got a lot of stuff done. Felt pretty good about it, but I was exhausted. No joke, I hit the sack at 8:15 p.m. And when I looked at the clock, I thought, oh my god, it is so early. There's no way I'm this tired. And then I was asleep within minutes. I don't know if it's time change. I don't know what it was, but I just got killed. And I slept pretty well. Obviously not enough. Then at one point in the morning, Michelle woke me up to go do my round of feeding for Liam, and I fed him, and then I tried to put him back down, and I just couldn't get him settled. He was just unsettled, and he just wouldn't stay down. He would fall asleep in my arms, but then I'd put him in the crib, and he would just wake right back up. And I didn't know, I was just going crazy. I was like, I didn't know what to do to get him to fall asleep in his crib. Finally, I decided I was just going to go switch, and I walked out of Liam's room, and I noticed light pouring in the bathroom window, and I go, oh my god, it's actually morning, like time for me to get up and go in the shower. So I went and told Michelle. She said, all right, just bring Liam to me. And so I brought Liam over to our bed and propped him up on one of these, kind of curvy pillows that she had for during the pregnancy, and he fell asleep instantly. It's like he knows. It's like, crib is my bed. No. Mom and dad's bed where I shouldn't fall asleep. Hell yeah. And then one thing about Logan from yesterday was, at some point in the day, he told Michelle that he wanted to dress up, and he asked for this badge that I had from a convention that I went to. He had a long sleeve shirt on, he had jeans on, and then he wanted his glasses, and then he put it all together and told Michelle that he was trying to dress like daddy. And she sent me this picture, and it's possible that he is pushing the limits of cuteness that I can hold. I may just explode. Thankfully, I have health insurance to cover that kind of thing. Now on to the top 10 list for today. Bands and or musicians. Now, as I'm sure it's not really uncommon that most people are fans of music, and I've been a fan of music ever since I was a little kid. I listened to a lot of 80s pop. I still like pop music, but I also got really into rock, and I was into hard rock, I was into heavy metal for a while, I was into some folk, I got into rap, it was R&B. Like, the only thing I never really truly got into was country, and I'm not saying that country music isn't good, just never really dove into it. But for me, these are my top 10 musicians and or bands, and they're in no particular order, because honestly, I couldn't put them in one. First, DJ Shadow. Now I've gotten to see DJ Shadow 3 different times. Every one of them was amazing. And this guy is such a perfectionist, and he is just a master of being a DJ. And he does everything on stage live. There's no pre-recorded sets. There's no pre-recorded loops. He does all the loops. He scratches everything. He does all of it right there in front of you on a massive amount of turntables and soundboards. Even if you don't like the music, it's impressive to watch. But I got into him during the private press tour, and then went backwards to introducing, and that was it. I was hooked. Number 2, Churches. Now, of course, they just released their second album, so it's hard to say, like, this is my favorite band ever. But seriously, that first album, The Bones of What You Believe, is just perfectly fit to me, to my tastes. I love female vocals, I love synth, I love pop music, I love techno, and it just kind of mixed everything together in such an amazing way. So I became an instant fan of them, and also the more I read about them, the more interviews I read, the more I loved Lauren Mayberry, and like the things that she stands for. It was perfect. Sadly, I don't have their second album yet, but I will. I will get it soon. And I've heard most of the tracks and love it. Third, VNV Nation. Now, I got into them a long time ago through a friend of mine, and it was just the first time I'd really gotten into techno, the first time I'd really listened to it. And this is kind of more industrial, but they range throughout their albums. Some albums are much harder, some albums are more heartfelt, some albums are more kind of almost radio friendly. I got to see them once on a New Year's Eve party, and it was amazing. And it's just 2 guys. Now, I know many people out there may have never heard of them, but I swear to you, you should check them out. The first track I ever really got hooked to was called Standing, so that would be my own personal one to pick out, but there's also Beloved. That's another great one. Number 4, Better Than Ezra. Now, I know a lot of people out there might just think of them as kind of these one-hit wonders back from the 90s, but seriously, they've been pumping out great album after album after album. And I saw them in concert as well, and they were just on point. It was actually a double headliner with them and Sister Hazel, and it was like amazing. These guys were just such good, tight bands. And I got to see them at the House of Blues, so that was really awesome because it's a fairly small venue. Number 5, Passenger. Now, I've been a fan of his since all the way back at Wicked Man's Rest, and I saw him twice at the Hotel Cafe in Hollywood, again, a really small venue, so that was awesome. And just watching him blow up has been amazing. And his style of writing, his style of heartfelt lyrics just hit me right in the feels. And I just love singing along with his stuff. I can kind of tweak my vocal range around his, not saying I sing very well, but when I sing in the car, it feels really good. 6, Matthew Goode. Now you could look him up under the Matthew Goode Band or Matthew Goode as a solo artist because when he split off from his band. Both of those projects, both of those unique formations of music are great. What I love about his music is he's inherently political, and he'll dig into issues that so many people won't even touch. And for a long time he was writing an amazing blog which was also very political and very informative, but he has since stopped that as far as I know. But an amazing musician from Canada, you should totally check him out. 7. The Who. Now, of course, most people know who The Who are, and I'm a huge fan of them. I've also seen them 3 times in concert. And that kind of also goes not just for The Who as the band, but also Pete Townshend's solo career. And then specifically Tommy the Rock Opera, which I've also seen on its own in London, and amazing stuff. This is a band that has spanned the generations, and they deserve to get the accolades that they still continue to get today. Number 8, Poe. Now, Poe only has 2 albums, and they came out a long time ago, but she's also the sister of one of my favorite authors, Mark Danielewski. And if you connect his book, The House of Leaves, to her album, Haunted, which was her second album, they go hand in hand. They actually tell the same story through different means, and they weave into each other, which is, again, an amazing experience. So if you've read the book and then you listen to the album has a whole new layer for you. And it doesn't mean the album's not enjoyable on its own. It is. But seriously, you do both, it's a whole new game. And Poe, if you're out there, please make new music. I've been begging for a new album. Oh my god, I want one. Number 9, David Bowie, the Thin White Duke, the icon, and everything from Ziggy Stardust to Aladdin Sane to David Bowie himself. I've been a fan. There is really just nothing that David Bowie can't do and make cool. And even now, it just seems like he's become more and more and more self-assured. Not in a cocky way, but just like he's confident in what he's doing at this point in his life. He's really gotten a way to express himself in other ways beyond music. In terms of his musical library, I listen to his classic stuff more than his new stuff, but I like it all. But definitely the Ziggy Stardust days. And finally, 10, Warren Zevon. Now, a lot of people might not know who he is, but trust me, you've heard his music. His most famous hit being Werewolves of London, also made famous during the movie The Color of Money with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman, which was the sequel to The Hustler. And he's just amazing. Again, a guy who could write so well in his style of music, kind of a mixture of folk and rock, and just led an incredible life. And one where he battled so hard through various addictions, only to find out when he finally got himself clean that he was incredibly sick. And then he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer when he was just about to start his album called The Wind. They told him he only had months to live, but he determined he would not die until this album was finished. And he did it, knowing it was going to be his last album. He brought on friends and collaborators to make this the best album he could, told the story he wanted to tell, went out the way he wanted to go out, and he finished the album over a year and a half, and then died very soon after. And then, to cap it all off, got his first Grammy Award ever. 2 of them, posthumously. Now, if you want a song to reach out to for that beyond Werewolves of London, check out Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner. It's an amazing kind of ghost story set to music, and it's always been one of my favorites. So there you go, those are my top 10 favorite musicians or bands. Let me know what yours are down below. I'm always open to listening to new music as well. Hope you guys have an amazing Top 10 Tuesday. See you guys tomorrow, and as always, be good to each other.